message. I was told to deliver this message.
Assalamu alaikum, family. Welcome back to another episode of NationTownTV Live. I'm just your brother Landon X. And as you see today, right here to my right, we have our main cover story topic as always, as well as our secondary topic. And we're going to jump right into it. First of all, assalamu alaikum to everybody tuning in. Let me go ahead and start off in the proper fashion. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Most Merciful, I bear witness that there is but one God who appeared to us in the person of Master W. Fard Muhammad, to whom praises are due forever. I further bear witness that Muhammad is his messenger, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, to be right and exact and down to the modern times. And he is at minimum the messenger of Allah. But in fact, the exalted Christ, I further bear witness that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, this beautiful brother over my shoulder, is none other than our divine leader, teacher, and guide, and also Messiah in our midst, if we understand. And in those three great names, I greet all of the NationTown family in the words of peace. We say it in the Arabic language of Assalamu alaikum. Now, first and foremost, as you can see to my right, we have our FCN cover story, aptly titled, What Black Voters Want and What We Should Demand. Get your copy of the #1 news not controlled by the Jews. You will see brothers and maybe even a sister or two out there pushing that #1 program. Make sure you support them and support your nation. I don't care if you've ever been to a Muhammad mosque before, and if you haven't, what's wrong with you, man? Where they do that at? But if you see our brothers out there pushing this program, go ahead and support them and get you a copy of the best independent news. Not just black news, but independent news in the world. With that said, we're going to jump right into it. We're actually starting somewhat on time today, but with that said, we're going to go ahead and start with our FCN cover story. As you can see, we're talking about voting again. What black voters want and should demand in 2020. Next year is an election year. And I want you all to chime in on this topic, because this is a topic that pops up every 2 to 4 years. Black people, for some strange reason, always get this idea in their head that their slave master is going to be somehow different or better than he's been for the last 400 years. But I'm going to start off by reading the initial paragraph of this very well-written article by our sister Starla Muhammad, managing editor of the Final Call News. And it says it's based in Detroit. The story is based in Detroit. It happens every presidential election cycle like clockwork. Political candidates vying for the highest office in the land begin scrambling, listen to this, begin scrambling for the attention of one of the most significant constituencies in U.S. politics, black voters. Black people, but particularly black women, are unabashedly viewed by political analysts and observers as the backbone of the Democratic Party. I'm gonna read that again. Black people, particularly black women, are unabashedly viewed by political analysts and observers as the backbone of the Democratic Party. They've proven it time and time again. And what Sister Starla is basically telling you, when you're the backbone of a party, that means that that party really can't win an office, particularly a national office, without the support of that particular constituency. For Republicans, it would be pretty much white, middle class to upper class voters, male voters, white male voters. And for the Democratic Party, it's black folk, particularly black women. And as soon as I read that first paragraph, it kind of jogged my mind back to a time I was nowhere around, and neither were you. But one thing I try to do as much as possible is study the politics of the plantation, everything that took place during American chattel slavery and its effect that it had on us. Because if you really study that and look at it deeply, you'll find a lot of the sources or a lot of the reasons that we operate the way we do today. Keep in mind that in this same Final Call newspaper, every issue in the back of what the Muslims want and what the Muslims believe, the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad says that we're most in need of mental resurrection, and a lot of that mental death took place. We got mentally killed during American chattel slavery. So going back to that scene of the crime, it got me thinking about how the black woman, remember, in the article it just pointed out that it's particularly the black woman that's the backbone of the Democratic Party. I'm not putting it all on her, but that's always been the MO. Always been the MO of white supremacy, always been the MO of our open enemy, to work through the black woman in order to get to us as a whole. And the same thing happened during slavery, when clothes and food were distributed out to the slaves. They did it through the black woman. They would give her the clothes, they would give her the food, and then she would disperse it out to the black male slave and also to the black child slave. So they would always go through the system. Fast forward to today, it's the same thing. They switched it around. Even though after slavery we had some semblance of a nuclear family, but then that was broken down over the years, and now it's the similar thing. They knock on the door, they want to speak to the black woman of the house, and they're actually surprised if there even is a black man of the house. Nowadays, it's much easier for a black woman to get a job, especially amongst white corporate America, and also a lot of federal and state government jobs. They always feed through the sister in order to get to black people as a whole, particularly the black child. You know, there's even a picture that I had queued up, and I'm gonna cue up real quick, that kind of points to that. It's a painting, a pretty old painting that dates back to slavery. As you can see over there to the left, you see the relationship between the white slave master and the black female slave, and then pay attention to what you see over to the right, what he's doing to the black male slave. He ain't kissing the black male slave, even though there was what they call buck breaking. But the main thing you saw them do, the main thing that took place, is what you see over there to the right. They beat the male slave, and then they took sexual advantage and mental advantage of the female slave. That was the normal MO back on the slave plantation, and you see that happening now. Emasculate the male, and then emasculate the woman. And it was interesting that since this article is primarily inspired by the recent presidential debate, Democratic presidential debate, when you look at some of the candidates, I'm gonna bring up a picture real quick. Take a look at these candidates. Now, two in particular, obviously grabs your attention. We have what appears to be a couple of Aboriginal women, particularly Kamala Harris, there in the middle next to Joe Biden, Joe Three Strikes Biden. And then at the far left, you see, I'm gonna go ahead and call, I don't think that's him. Yeah, to the left of Joe Biden, yes sir, that is your brother, I'll call him your brother, Cory Booker. And, you know, I got a lot of respect for Cory Booker. I'm not just gonna jump down his throat. You know, he failed the Farrakhan litmus test, but he's number 100,048 over the last 40 plus years that have failed that test. And there'll be more after him. But one thing about the brother, he is an intelligent brother, but one thing I would say, he doesn't strike me as a very masculine brother. I'm just gonna call it like it is. He doesn't. He's not that alpha dog kind of brother. He's just not. Maybe that's just his personality. I don't know. It is kind of interesting that he's in. I believe he's in his 50s and he's not married. Never been married. I ain't saying nothing. He's just not the most masculine brother in the world. But then you have Kamala Harris, who's she's like a pit bull in a lot of ways. She's an enforcer. She was also an enforcer of the law here in California as the Attorney General, literally the enforcer, and she's married to a white man. So we see the actual plantation politics play out in the actual presidential election this year. I thought that was quite interesting. Now you essentially have the whole plantation political playing out, and all the characters are cast, and I thought that was quite interesting when you consider the fact that they are the three front runners. You got the slave master, former Vice President Joe Biden. Then you have the, I'll just say my sister, Kamala Harris. I'm gonna try to be a good Farrakhanite and say our sister with quotations, as the minister would say. And then you have Cory Booker. But you have a reflection of, like I said, that plantation politics. But I do want to remind you, everybody that's watching, to go ahead and hit us up with any questions or comments, whatever the case may be, and just hit us up when you get the chance. One quick and we have our executive producer, Sister Shauna Joy, on the job. So if you have any questions or comments, go ahead and hit us up. But that's the main FCN topic. That is the cover story, what black voters want and what they should ask for, what they should demand in 2020. Now, if you look, we have our secondary story, voting while black. Now, you've heard driving while black, shopping while black. We're going to deal with voting while black, and it may not be what you might think it means, but we're going to jump into that in a moment. Now, let's deal with three of those candidates real quick as I pull this. But we have Joe Biden first and foremost. And I'm gonna bring up a quick photo. I wanna give you all visual aids as we go forward. We have Joe Biden, and then we have your brother and your sister, Kamala Harris and Cory Booker. Joe Biden, for those that don't know, he was very instrumental in the explosion of the prison industrial complex that took place in the 90s, unbeknownst to a lot of black people. While we were so happy to see Bill Clinton playing the saxophone, so happy to get a couple of jobs, we always last hired, first fired. But while we were celebrating that, America was building prisons at an alarming rate. And many of these prisons, if not all of them, were privately owned, and they needed to be filled. And they were being filled. They were being filled quicker than you could imagine. And Joe Biden was instrumental in that. Then you have Cory Booker. Cory Booker, I got to give it to him. He used to be the mayor of Newark, New Jersey. And Newark, New Jersey, it's almost like the Compton of the East Coast. It's a city with a lot of Aboriginal people. If you want to know the pulse of black people, Newark is one of those cities. You can find cities like that in every region where you can, find the pulse of our people just by going there and talking to people that are from there. And for the most part, politically speaking, I'm going to use this term, politically speaking, because there's a lot of black people who consider themselves woke and consider themselves conscious, who still don't understand how politics works and still don't understand that it's a system that is not, I repeat, is not designed for you, the Aboriginal man or Aboriginal woman. But politically speaking, Cory Booker did a decent job as mayor of Newark. He parlayed that into the United States Senate, And Newark is a city that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan visited a lot. He actually does have a pretty, I would say, cordial relationship with Cory Booker, as well as his successor, brother Baraka. Now Barack Obama, we're going to talk about him in a minute, but Mayor Baraka, who's a good friend of the minister, at least until he runs for president. But anyway, the minister has his finger on the pulse of Newark, and he always has, and that's why Cory Booker at first was hesitant to fail the Farrakhan litmus test, but then eventually he did, because he's trying to get that AIPAC money. Hey man, do what you got to do. But anyway, that's the situation with Cory Booker. And like I said, Kamala Harris, she's from out here in California, married to a Jew, married to a white man. And she was instrumental in, she was like, when it comes to the prison industrial complex, I put it like this. If Joe Biden was pitching, she was catching. She was instrumental in making sure that those prisons got filled, particularly out here on the West Coast. Even though in college, when she called herself being a AKA and ski wind and getting high, they got the little pinky up. I guess she had a blunt, between her index and her thumb while the pinky was up. She was smoking weed in college, but then later, when she got into the political realm, she was instrumental with throwing black men in prison for small-time drug offenses like marijuana or small amounts of crack cocaine. She filled those prisons up. She pretty much, blocked any attempts to allow certain black inmates from appealing their cases, death row cases. She was hardcore. She was hardcore as an attorney general, like they like attorney generals to be. Emphasis on the like, on they. They meaning, of course, white supremacy. So she was white supremacy's favorite little sister. I'll put it like that. I won't use the plantation political term for what she is, because I'm not going to throw a sister under the bus like that. The minister wouldn't use those terms directly on a brother or sister in a public forum, so I won't. But you know what I got in my mind. But those are three of the top candidates that y'all have to choose from. Y'all have to choose from. There's even a candidate who's openly gay. I'm not even going to go into that. They've also toyed around with the reparations issue. But one thing I wanted to get into for the most part, because with this political game, when you've seen one, you've seen them all. But one thing that bothers me the most is the repetitive, I guess you could say, effect that it has on the black community. For 400 plus years, in one way or the other, whether it's politics, whether it's the Civil War, whether it's whatever, black people have always put their hopes in American politics, even before we were able to vote. We initially considered ourselves Republicans. Some of the first black men and women who were able to vote called themselves Lincoln Republicans because they thought Lincoln loved them, because he was instrumental in the Emancipation Proclamation. But look up that word, emancipation. All the way down to now, we think our salvation is going to come through the same government that not only allowed slavery, but it was instrumental in slavery, but the same government that called us 3/5 of a man. We somehow think that government is going to be our salvation. And one of the most recent issues that we found ourselves in is what I call the Obama effect. There are a lot of Negroes right now, and I'm using that word very, very much intentionally. There are a lot of Negroes right now that are mad at that man right there that you see to my right. That is Barack Obama, the 44th president of these United States of America, and his wonderful and beautiful wife, Michelle Obama. A lot of y'all mad at him. A lot of y'all big mad at him. And I don't know why. I don't know why you had it in your mind that this man was going to do anything different from his job description. I'm going to say it again, from his job description. His job description was to be the CEO of white supremacy's shining kingdom, which is what I call the United States of America. This is the shining chalice, the shining kingdom of white supremacy, and he earned a spot to become, and he was selected as the CEO of that shining kingdom. But we were so mad because for some reason we thought he was going to do something any different from all of the prior 43 CEOs of the United States. And I do call him the first black president of the United States. I know some of you woke Negro, oh no, he wasn't the first. It was 2 or 3. He on the back of the food stamp. You got to look real close. Okay, all right. I like to call Barack Obama the first black president for this reason. Because if there was a black president prior to him, prior to George Washington, you should be more upset with that or those black presidents than you are with Barack Obama, because that means that we had a black president that presided over slavery. I'm gonna say that again. If you believe in that, that what I call that woke myth, that conscious myth, which may have some truth to it, I don't know. But I would hope that it's not true, because that means that president, that first black president on the back of the food stamp or the $2 bill or whatever, presided over chattel slavery. They were sitting up, not in the White House, but I guess in Philadelphia somewhere, which was the original capital of the United States, with their feet kicked up on an oak desk, everybody calling this brother Mr. President, while we were working from KC in the morning to KC at night, dealing with some of the worst treatment that any human being has ever witnessed in the South as well as the North. A lot of people thought slavery didn't exist in the North. It did. Sojourner Truth was a Northern slave. They just didn't have the same kind of slave task. They weren't out in the field because the agriculture seasons were different in the North, but there were slaves in the North as well as the South and out West, believe it or not. So, I don't really subscribe to the first 9 presidents was black. I hope not. That would be heartbreaking. If you got a problem with Barack Obama and what he did as president, then it should make your head explode. Just the thought and the possibility of there being a black president before George Washington. That should make your head explode. You should be so mad at those brothers that you shouldn't even be worried about Barack Obama. But let me get back on Barack Obama. Barack Obama did what he was supposed to do as the CEO of white supremacy, aka the President of the United States of America. And here's my question to those that are upset with him. I know what he did to Gaddafi. That was terrible. And what he did to Gaddafi, he finished a job that actually started when he was in college. They had been trying to murder Muammar Gaddafi, may Allah be pleased, since Barack Obama was in college, before he even got to Harvard, because he actually started out in college out here in California. He finished that job. He finished a lot of different jobs. He put the seal on the prison industrial complex, the last couple of prisons that they intended to build in the 90s. They were finished with those projects in the 90s. He finished a lot of projects. That's what you do when you're hired as the CEO of a company. You come in to continue the job and to follow the actual job description. And here's something I say to all those who are so mad at Barack Obama. And again, I want to encourage you, if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to hit me up. But here's something that I want you to consider with Barack Obama. Ask yourself, if you mad at him, if you big mad, little mad, medium mad, what did he fail to do that he promised that he would do? So while we're right now dealing with the primaries of the Democratic so-called election, as we pull up on 2020, pay attention. Pay attention to what they're saying and what they're not saying, because a lot of people missed the boat with Barack Obama. Barack Obama never mentioned anything about reparations. He never talked about opening up the prison doors and letting all the brothers and sisters out. He never said he was going to do anything particular for black voters. That was a figment of the Negro imagination. Absolute figment. There was only one thing that he failed to do that he actually said that he was going to do. Just one. Just one. Anybody that knows what that one thing is, go ahead and put it in the comment section. I'm going to give you about 5 seconds to put that in there. In fact, while you're putting that in there, we're going to go to a quick break. But that's the question. Can you name the one thing that Barack Obama actually promised that he was going to do leading up to the 2008 election, or even leading up to the 2012 election, that he did not do, that he failed to do, but he absolutely said that he would do? Name one thing. Now, there's one thing in particular that he absolutely did fail to do that he said that he would do. And I'm going to see if you all know what it is. But while y'all figuring that out, we're going to go to a quick commercial break here on NationTownTV live. But I'm going to see how many of y'all are really woke out there. We're going to find out in a minute. We'll be right back. And we're back. Again, the question before we went to our quick commercial break was, name one thing that Barack Obama promised he would do as he was running for president that he failed to do. I want to see if anybody was actually paying attention politically the last couple of years, because there is one thing in particular that he did promise to do that he failed to do. It's a lot of things that he didn't even talk about. He didn't talk about reparations. He really didn't talk about a lot of black specific topics. He just didn't. He dealt with a lot of topics that are important to black people: healthcare, the economy, creating jobs. And, you know, he brought the closest thing that America has ever seen to comprehensive healthcare reform. He did. You know, the economy did improve from the George W. Bush administration, and a lot of the millions of jobs were so-called created. He did. But what did he promise that he would do that he failed to do? There's only one thing, to my understanding, that he promised that he would do that he failed to do, and it really don't have much to do with black people, and that is, he promised that he would get Guantanamo Bay closed. That's the only thing he promised that he would do, and he failed to do it. Everything else, get that out of your head. He never said he was going to go up in the White House slapping white folks in the mouth. I don't know where y'all got that from. He never said he was going to go and send every black man a $100,000 check. He never said that he was going, you know, whatever it is you had in your mind. All he wanted to be was the CEO of white supremacy, otherwise known as the United States of America, and he succeeded in doing that. That's why I chose this photo that you see over here to my right. Hey, I know you big bad, but what's up? That's all he said he was going to do. And the reason why I'm not big mad is because a long time ago I realized, somewhere around the time where I found out that they put it in our actual laws here in America that we were 3/5 of a man, somewhere around the time when I realized that there were multiple presidents, I believe 13, I'm not 100% on about at least 13 presidents that presided over American chattel slavery. Somewhere around that time, when I found that out in public school history class, I said, oh, wait a minute, this government is not manufactured for us. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, this beautiful man over my shoulder, reiterated that at the Million Man March in 1995. He said that this nation was not made for us. We were to be the burden bearers of this nation. The burden bearers of this nation. Straight like that. So I'm not one of those brothers who sit around huffing and puffing about Barack Obama, because he ran for the office of CEO of white supremacy. And as far as that's concerned, being the CEO of white supremacy, he succeeded in that, whether you like it or not. In fact, I'm going to bring something else up. Here's another quiz for the NationTownTV viewers. This man to my right, take a good look at him. He kind of look like Barack Obama, don't he? You see what's in the background? It says American Express. The man you're looking at right now, that is Kenneth Chenault. Kenneth Chenault. He was the CEO, president and CEO of American Express, the credit card company, for about 14 years, from around 2000 to roughly 2002 to around 2017, roughly 14 years. He was the CEO of American Express. Now, while he was the CEO of American Express, how many of y'all got your free unlimited black card from American Express? Yo, congratulations, homie. Congratulations, cuz. Here's a free American Express, no credit check required. Go ball out. How many of y'all got that card? I didn't. How many of y'all expected to get that card? How many of y'all even knew that a brother was the CEO of American Express pretty much that entire decade? When Barack Obama was walking across the stage at his inauguration and all y'all was crying and so happy, I admit I was happy. I was happy to see the CEO of white supremacy with a black face and a beautiful black wife and children who were African descendants of slaves. I enjoyed seeing that. I didn't expect nothing from it, but I enjoyed seeing that. But during that time, the CEO of American Express, one of the biggest financial institutions in the world, was a black man. And we didn't get nothing from that as black people, did we? He's married to a black woman too. He actually gives a lot of money to the United Negro College Fund, which is another story. I can get into that too. But what did he do for you? Nothing. Nor was he supposed to, because he was the CEO of a for-profit company with a clear job description to help American Express get in the black. Not to help black, but to get in the black. And for those who are familiar with business terminology, that just means to turn a profit. That's all he did. He was successful in doing that. One of the most successful CEOs of American Express in its history. And Barack Obama did the same thing. He pushed the agenda of the United States, the white supremacist agenda worldwide. He did it in the nicest way possible. He achieved that. So congratulations to Kenneth Chenault. Congratulations to Barack Obama. What we have to do is step our game up when it comes to political understanding and political knowledge. Not only on the federal level, but also on the local level. There are things that affect black people a lot more on the local level than on the federal level. 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, it really has no bearing. It really has no bearing on you and I. Flat out, it just doesn't. On the local level, there are some things that really do affect us, and we should at least be aware. And to my brothers and sisters in the Nation of Islam who say, man, I don't even vote. Okay, I feel you on that. But think about this. Can you think of a student of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad or the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, which is one and the same, that is not politically aware? Listen to the minister and his lectures of all the Savior's days. He always touches on politics. He's extremely politically conscious and politically aware. We all need to be politically aware, but putting your faith and your hope in anything other than Allah, but particularly in the government structure of white supremacy, is absolute foolishness. But with that said, we are on that next topic, Voting While Black. We're probably going to be on another 10, 15 minutes. But, like I said, hit us up with all your questions and comments. But we're going to touch on this secondary topic, as you see, voting while black. Now, one of the issues that we have, and one of the reasons why we have been struggling in this whole political realm, is particularly because we've been doing it wrong. We've been doing it all wrong. And I'm going to get to that in a second. But before I get into how we've been technically doing this voting thing wrong. We're just doing it wrong. You just got the wrong ballot. You at the wrong precinct. You just doing everything wrong. And I'm gonna go into detail with that in a moment. But before we do that, we always on NationTownTV, we like to hear either from this man over my shoulder, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, or deal directly with the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And today, we're going to deal with the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad as it pertains to politics, American politics. Now, the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad wrote a lot of groundbreaking literature, particularly this book right here, which I affectionately call The Black Man's Bible. The Black Man's Bible, Message to the Black Man. So we're going to start in Message to the Black Man. And we're going to read starting on page 224. Those of you who have a copy, you can go ahead and turn to 224 in the Black Man's Bible. And it says, a house of our own. This is the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And he says, we cannot be successful in the house of our enemies. We should be in our own house. That which is other than our own is for those who are other than our own. Our own is unlimited physically and spiritually. There are those who think that our lack of freedom, justice, and equality can be solved in the white man's crooked and corrupt politics. I'm going to read that again. There are those who think that our lack of freedom, justice, and equality can be solved in the white man's crooked and corrupt politics. But these so-called leaders who think this political strategy will solve our problem are as far as wrong as the distance from the east to the west. I have said many times that the solution to our problem is divine. There are so many who would just for self-praise or exaltation like to lead you astray under the false claim that they can solve the problem by ways other than divine. You should never listen to these leaders. You should what? Never listen to these leaders, because they will lead you into the fisherman's net. Woo! All praises due to Allah for the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And we're going to read something else from this beautiful brother. Another book that he wrote, another groundbreaking book, which pretty much is the answer to our addiction to white supremacist politics. And that's a book that he wrote called Our Savior Has Arrived. And in that book, he also dropped a bomb on our people who seem to always look for our enemy for salvation. And he says the devil, for those that don't know, white man, will deceive many of you. And you can find that in Bible, Revelations 12 and 9, with his soft buttered words and his love songs, and with his promises to you that he never intends to fulfill. That can be found in Holy Quran 4:120. It is written of him that he will deceive you in this way, but by having a thorough knowledge of the arch deceiver, you should not fall victim of his deceitful teaching and love making. Any sane man who knows fire and its burn is not going to put his hand in it. So when you know these things, assurity, with experience, you should not be partakers of it. Black people, black men and women of intelligence and decency cannot walk the streets day or night without being tormented with the evil and filth that is practiced around them. And the messenger goes on with that, and that is from Our Savior Has Arrived. So I wanted to touch on that from this beautiful man to my right, dealing with politics. He made it clear to you, man. Stop falling for their little buttery charm. And that's what politicians are good at. They're good at that. But I'll say this. Remember what I read from the Final Call newspaper, where it said that the backbone of the Democratic Party was particularly the black woman. But let's think about this. There are a lot of black women who are going to go to the polls next year and this year in the primaries with a lot of hope in their heart for this political system and this political process. But many of them, let's just keep it all the way real. We keep it real on NationTownTV. Many of them are sisters who have already 100% given up on the black man. And if you ask them, sister, why are you giving up on the black man? And they'll write a book. They'll say, oh, because, niggas do this and niggas do that, and black men, my ex-husband, my ex-boyfriend, oh, okay. And a lot of the stuff they'll tell you is understandable. In our current condition as so-called black men, so-called black and so-called men, we've done a lot of silly things. But my question to those same sisters is, what has this enemy done to you and yours for the last 400 years? With that said, I promised you that I was going to break down the issues and the reason why I believe that not only have we been wasting our time with the voting process, but the main issue is that we've been doing it wrong. We've been doing it wrong. What do I mean we've been doing it wrong? Well, first of all, when you vote with a ballot. You vote with a ballot. Number one issue is we have been voting with the wrong ballot. What is the right ballot, Brother Landon? I'll tell you. The right ballot, I'll show it to you because, I just want to use visual aids so you know what I'm talking about. The right ballot is this. Y'all know what that is? That's a dead slave master on the front. They said he had wooden teeth. They said he had female slave concubines. But that is the correct ballot. In fact, that's the closest thing that the black man in North America and the black woman in North America will ever find to a true voting ballot. Why am I calling this a ballot? Because the dollar is really a daily voting ballot. This is actually the fuel behind all of these. They operate on that dollar. Their campaigns operate on that dollar. The people that fuel their campaigns, AIPAC and all these special interest groups, they use that dollar in order to get these people elected. But it's also a dollar that you can use. You can use that same dollar. And I'm not talking about donating it to a political campaign. The way you spend that dollar you got in your pocket right now. Black folks, we don't have much, but we do have $1.3 trillion a year in spending power. And the way you use that dollar, the manner in which you use that dollar, even the location, the geographic location where you spend that dollar, has a greater effect on your day-to-day life and the condition of our people than voting in any election for any candidate throughout this country. I don't care if you find a candidate that's straight Farrakhan, who's calling a white man the devil to his face and claiming that he's going to give every black person, Aboriginal person, $100,000 check and reparate. I don't care who runs for president. There will never be a political candidate in this current governmental system that will have a greater effect than the way you spend this dollar, the place you spend it, how you spend it. Every company that you spend your money on, that company has a CEO. It has a person that founded the company. It has a corporate structure. What do those people look like that run that company? Do they look like you? Does the CEO of that company have your best interests in mind? Every place of business that you go to and you give them that ballot, you're essentially voting for them. You went to Starbucks today? I ain't passing no judgment, but you voted for Starbucks today. Do you know who their CEO is? Do you know what he believes? Do you know who they support? A lot of Negroes right now love them some Chick-fil-A. Do you know that Chick-fil-A CEO is a staunch Donald Trump supporter? Did you know that? Did you know that Nike was founded and the former CEO but founder of Nike, Phil Knight, do you know that he's an Ashkenazi Jew? The same kind of Jew that we're talking about in all 3 volumes of of the secret relationship between blacks and Jews? Do you know he doesn't for my Christian brothers and sisters? Do you know that the founder of Nike, the CEO of Nike, believes that Jesus should be somewhere boiling in a pit of his own excrement? Do you know that? Have you asked what has Nike really done for black people? Do you ask that? You know, the same kind of questions that you ask with black businesses. Like when a brother comes at you with the Final Call newspaper. You know, if you call yourself a Christian or a Hebrew Israelite or atheist or whatever, you'll refuse that paper because there's something about the belief system of that brother that's trying to sell you just news, daily news. If you disagree with something with him and what he believes, which is on the back of every Final Call newspaper, you will refuse the transaction. So all I'm asking is for us to start doing that same thing with everybody else. Keep that same energy. When you go to the mall or any store, any restaurant, next time you go to the Chinese, that little raggedy Chinese, I know you don't really know what you eating. It might be cat, dog, rat, bat, monkey. You don't know what you eating, but you go up in there and you spend your money. I want you to ask Ching Pong Ling that works there, that owns there, ask him what is his take on reparations? What is her take on reparations? How do they feel about the plight, the 400-year plight and sojourn of the black man in America? And if he says, hurry up and buy, you buy now, then go ahead and do an about face and take your money somewhere else. And keep asking that question. Even you go to Home Depot, you go anywhere you go, ask that question. Because the American economy has exploded now to the point where there's always an alternative. There's not one place you have to go. The only place where you don't have a lot of wiggle room are with utility companies. I've never heard of a black-owned utility company, but spend your money, your dollar, in the blackest way possible. Spend that dollar in the blackest way possible, and that is the black vote. That is your salvation. The closest thing you can get to it other than Allah God himself. But even Allah God asks us to spend our money correctly. In the Holy Quran, it talks about those who squander their money. In the Holy Quran. Look that up. So spend your money right. That's your vote. If you can't spend your money, listen, like I always say, people giggle and chuckle when I say this, but I'm so serious. If you can't spend your money in the blackest way possible, people, spend it, at least spend it in a light-skinned way. What do I mean? What do I mean spend your money in a light-skinned way? If you can't find a black-owned company to spend your money on or whatever service that you're trying to get, then go to a white-owned company, but find a black employee there. And if they're getting paid on commission, make sure you tell Jamal, hey Jamal, I want Jamal to help me today. I want Jamal to sell me that car. I want Shaniqua, I want Shanae to help me out today so they can get that commission. And if you walk in there and you don't see nobody that looks like you that works there, again, do an about face and walk out. And try to keep your money in your community and in communities with people that look like you. That's the black vote. Cory Booker, Barack Obama, Donald Trump, George Bush, Clinton this, Clinton that, Kennedy this, Kennedy that. That is not a vote for you, black man. You voting for a system that was built on the back of your neck, and it will always, always stand on the back of your neck. And it's crushing you. And as soon as you stand up, it will tip over and fall. Simple as that. Simple as that. So with that said, dear brothers and sisters, we're going to close out. I want to encourage all those who are on the West Coast and watching live right now, go out to your self-improvement study group. If you're on the East Coast, you're either already there or you missed it for today. We have our study groups every Wednesday and Friday. Look up your local Muhammad Mosque. And also out here in Los Angeles, make sure you come on out and join us and hear from this Sunday From my beloved Western Regional Student Minister, Abdul Malik Saeed, teaching hard as always. You never know when the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is going to send him on another tour. So if you're in the LA area, you better come and see him while you can. This brother's been on fire. As always, make sure you come out and see us. If you come, let them know that NationTown sent you and we got a free gift for you. In fact, if you don't already have a copy of the Black Man's Bible and you come as a first-time guest, ask for NationTown. I'll make sure you get a free copy of this. Word is bond, bond is life. And I will give my life before my word shall fail. Also, make sure you download our free Mosque number 27 app. Make sure you go ahead and take care of that. And last but not least, make sure you support. Like I said, I was talking about that black vote. Vote for NationTownStore.com. When was the last time you voted for a black-owned company? Go ahead and vote for us. Click on NationTownStore.com. We have merchandise, we have clothing, we have black-owned, nation-owned personal care products, pies, cookies, subscriptions, everything you need in life. Well, not quite everything, but everything you need right now. Go ahead and click on that. And with that said, dear brothers and sisters, I want to thank you again for another episode of NationTown TV Live. Y'all be safe this weekend. And again, do something productive this weekend. And make sure you vote this weekend. And make sure you vote for your people this weekend. I don't know what's going on as far as elections, but there's an election every day in your community. It's called business. And business is a perpetual 24/7 election. And how you spend your money is who you vote for. A lot of y'all are voting for Donald Trump and don't even know it every day. A lot of y'all are voting for white supremacy every day. Make sure you voting in the blackest way possible. If not, vote in the light-skinned way. With that said, I thank you all for tuning in. Until next time. And also, don't forget about revolutionary relationships. We're dealing with the courtship process. We may or may not hit you with part 5 this Sunday afternoon. If not this Sunday afternoon, then we'll hit you again Tuesday evening. One of those days, word is bond. We want to thank everybody that supports NationTown TV. And lastly, I'm going to leave you as I greeted you with the words of peace. Assalamu alaikum, family.
I was told to deliver this message.